Hello everyone, thanks for coming to my presentation. It's a little crowded in here, but I'm glad we're all here. I want to start out by talking a little bit about high school. High school is a time in people's lives where they are figuring out who they are, kind of looking more towards careers and college, make great friends, and they have a blast with football games. My high school experience was a lot different. I was really involved with music. I played drums and guitar for a heavy metal band, and it really preoccupied my life. I really set school aside, and I was never really that good at school. I struggled with learning disabilities most of my life. I always had a difficult time learning what the teachers wanted me to do. Testing, especially math, was just so difficult. And I really loved heavy metal. It was something I liked. I played drums and guitar for a few different bands. I also loved going to the beach. I wanted every day to be summer. I would go surf and I would play guitar with my friends, and I really pushed school further and further aside, and I just suffered more and more. And eventually school just became so difficult to understand. I met with my teachers outside of school, tried to make up assignments, and it was just not happening. I wasn't being responsible. I was putting other things before school, and as a result, my academic performance was suffering. I eventually had little options in life. I eventually dropped out of high school. I was suffering so bad. I was not engaged enough. I decided I was going to drop out of high school. To this day, I have a couple friends who continue down that path and are literally homeless, living under bridges under San Diego. And it's very sad that this happens. This is what happens when you avoid responsibility. I luckily pulled it together enough to where I was able to serve a 2-year mission for my church, where I focused on other people's needs rather than myself. And on my mission, I really learned to take responsibility and understood what that was. So I came home from my mission, and I decided, I was going to get a GED. I dropped out of high school. I was not doing well at all. Academically, I wanted to go to college. I wanted to be married, have children, do all these great things. It wasn't going to happen because I had avoided responsibility in high school. Luckily, though, I was able to get into a 6-week program and get that GED in just 6 weeks rather than a year or two. And it really gave me a boost for my college experience and who I am today. It was really hard, one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do, but it paid off really great. So why even focus on responsibility? Why is that so important? Responsibility allows us more options in life. It helps us to have more windows and opportunities available to us. And responsibility helps remove daily problems. So many little things in life that can be removed and dealt with when we understand what responsibility really is. As we understand to take responsibility immediately and not push it aside, but to own up to things right away, we have more control and more power. It's one of the things few people understand is that as you take responsibility, you will have more control, more power, more options in life. So I want to talk a little bit about Lance Armstrong. We all know Lance Armstrong. He was considered one of the greatest athletes of all time. Amazing cyclist who's won numerous Tour de France competitions. Lance Armstrong, unfortunately, in recent years have come out and admitted to doping. There was accusations and people accusing him of doing drugs for numerous years, and Lance denied these heavily. He started the Live Strong Foundation. He suffered cancer. He did all these just amazing things that he went through in life. He was involved with Nike and so many companies, and he avoided these questions, these accusations that kept arising. He kept denying. He used justification and blame. Justification, blame, lies, medicating, self-pity, and cover-up are what destroyed Lance Armstrong. Avoiding responsibility destroys people. It destroys individuals, it destroys families. And doing these things, justification and blame, these are things that people do and say to avoid responsibility. There are a lot of people who rely on us daily. People at work, family, friends, neighbors. We have people rely on us. As we take responsibility, we're not only responsible for ourselves, we're responsible for other people. Taking responsibility not only helps us, it helps those around us. There's also a lot of trust involved with responsibility. As we show our spouse, people at work that we're responsible, there's more power and options given to us. If you want a higher pay raise at work, you want a different job, taking responsibility is a great way to show people that you're responsible, that you're accountable, that you're willing to work hard. There's more choices. It's as simple as that. Taking responsibility allows more options in life. It means you're hardworking, you acknowledge things, you face things, and you own up to your actions. But to look at the American people, there are so many people in this country who are on welfare, government assistance, food stamps, all sorts of things. And many people do suffer and do need these things, that need this assistance. Sadly, a lot of people abuse this system. As a result, the government spends about $131.9 billion a year on assisting the American people. Like I said, a lot of people do legitimately need this, but there are a big chunk of this budget that goes into people who are just simply avoiding responsibility. They're avoiding work, and they're avoiding the everyday tasks they need to do. A lot of people fear the unknown. We can't be afraid. We need to take a step in the dark sometimes. As we do that, that's taking responsibility. It's being able to learn from your mistakes, to walk into the future, do things first. A lot of people are afraid to do things first. They want to follow in other people's footsteps. Being responsible is doing what's right and moving forward in life. Responsibility kind of has this connotation of being negative. It's kind of like, oh no, I was caught. Oh no, like I need to do this now. Responsibility is a really positive thing. We talked about responsibility gives us power and freedom. It truly does. As we can view responsibility as positively, we'll be much happier and have a lot more options in life. As we take daily action, the moment we see an option to take responsibility, we need to take it. Responsibility grows us individually, it grows with our families, and it just helps us in so many different ways. There are more power and more freedom given to people who take responsibility. This is one of the most important things we can do. Lance Armstrong avoided responsibility, and power and freedom, money, fame, all that was completely stripped. Can you imagine what Lance would have done if he right away early on in his career said, yeah, I doped, I did this, I made a mistake. Instead of blaming, well, everyone else does it, taking responsibility, he could have had a great career. He could have continued to be a great cyclist. But he'll never know if he had the potential. You let that list, that justification, blame, these principles destroy his life. As we can learn to take responsibility, we have more control, more power, and more freedom. Thank you all for coming today.